Right. Good morning, Lasham. Oh, hang on. Turn the volume down on a PC to get feedback. Okay. Good morning, Lasham. Yesterday was a contest day. And first of all, actually, thank you to our sponsors, Vertigo Covers, Applegarth, who will be giving away some hampers to the comp winners, Vertigo Detailing, who will be giving away some stuff, and G for writing the Saw Engine and being part of that process. So, I'll pass you over to Jordan for a few church notices.
Yep, good morning, everybody. Looks like a load of you had a lot of fun yesterday. It must be said that I found it very exciting reading the comments from the Basingstoke Residents Forum, many of whom thought that the military had just got a new set of drones as a load of JS1s flew right over the top. I've seen various things and conspiracies, but yes, well done for getting yourselves noticed that did go down. Apparently, you had people out coming out of Aldi looking up, and people coming out onto the street. Yeah, I guess that's what happens when you fall a bit short. Just a reminder, if you have any questions, just use the chat function or Q&A function to do it, or text your questions through our phone, which I'm looking after this morning. But you all know the drill by now. Showers, I believe that's still underway. Comps week menu, it said it's Italian night tonight and barbecue night as well. Just on another note, Pammy Davis thanks all those who have donated to the Ribbons for Ukraine. She'll do an update of the revised total tomorrow, but we'll be around tonight for the lovely Italian food we got. At the moment, though, it stands at, for Ribbons for Ukraine, £285 and also €25. So yeah, big thanks for all of us. I think that's been a really good effort on that, and thank you to Pammy for getting that underway. It is tonight. I might have escaped by then, but you wouldn't want to hear me anyway. Friday night is music night, and Mark Davenport has been very kindly preparing that, despite working very hard at the Women's Worlds, which has also been going on at the moment. So that is tonight. And just finally, this is the last day you'll see me, because I now have to put my competitor hat on and go and fly at the Junior Nationals. So I hope you enjoy the rest of today and Saturday and Sunday, and I hope to see you next year at the Lasham competitions. Back to the director.
Hello again. Right. Results. Yesterday was a contest day in both classes. As you know, it didn't go to plan. We didn't actually think it was that marginal. We honestly thought you'd mostly get round. It didn't go to plan, and doing some analysis, it appears there was a lot of wave effect, wind shear wave in the whole task area throughout the whole day, and that was in none of our scenarios for forecasting at all. And potentially also there's a bit more sea air on the northern leg, but we're not sure about sea air or wave. So yes, I'm sorry the more we didn't get around, but yeah, we didn't actually think it was going to be that bad. So prim results. In third place in the 80 meter class, Chris Starkey came in at 64.74 kilometers an hour. Tim Jenkinson came across second at 66.54, and in first place by a long margin, Andy Davis at 77.4 kilometers an hour. And we've got a how I did it. Hopefully it'll work. On the sound front, we'll see.
Well, while we were waiting to start, it became obvious that any sunshine or brightness to the northwest was rapidly disappearing, and we couldn't see any sunlight anywhere. So I thought it was going to be a distance day. So I started 5 minutes after the line opened, a nice early start. And basically, apart from the first two climbs that I shared with other gliders, I flew the whole flight on my own, just pressing on. And boy, it was hard work. I particularly found the leg in the sunshine north of Bryce hard work. Just getting low all the time, couldn't find a decent climb. But eventually, North Vista, I reconnected with the good conditions, got up high. Then I found the leg back to the south much easier because it lined up with the streeting. And yeah, one last climb south of Newbury to get in, and I took it ridiculously high and came home with loads of margin.
Good. I actually think that might have worked. So that's not bad.
Preliminary results for the 20 meter class, which was a bit less. Third place, Steve Jones at 77.27, 74.27. Second, Gary Coppin at 74.67. and third place Matt Cook at 76.86. And Matt is as enthusiastic as ever to be on video, but here he is anyway.
Tell us about your day yesterday.
So we started, it was cracking, everyone knew it was cracking. So just got up, hit a good climb, went back, restarted. Most of it was last extra line. Managed to navigate round, Clag, and then basically it got itself together a bit after about Wantage. I think the defining moment for us was to route via the Didcot Way into Oxford, which meant we got high in and out, and that enabled us to catch up some of the early starters. And then it's just a matter of just trying not to screw up round the last turn.
Thank you. Tell us about.
Good stuff. Right, and now for today's weather, over to Colin Watt.
Excellent. Morning, folks. Well, afternoon now, sorry. As usual, have a briefing at 12 o'clock. Right, today. Not quite gone to plan just at the moment. Not sort of what we expected when we started looking at this at 7 o'clock this morning. So cold front with a warm front just ahead of it, clearing through steadily at about sort of 6-7 o'clock this morning, but trailing some sort of horrid air behind it. Once that gets past us, it should be quite pleasant. You can see reasonable spacing on the isobars and pressure building a little bit to stabilize things out. But I think as the day goes on, these will clamp up a little bit and we'll get a slight increase in wind speed. No effect from the fronts that are well to the west of us in terms of cloud. Just a quick look at the TAFs just to make sure there's nothing unusual going on. They update themselves fairly regularly. So scattered at 3,000 feet is Farnborough's forecast. But looking further north, northwest, most places are giving either 4.5 scattered with westerly winds anywhere between 8 and 10 knots, maybe 12 knots in one or two places further to the west. And the upper winds, they're westerly pretty much, 15. I think other forecasts are showing a little bit more than that, probably 15, 18 knots in places, certainly down to the south near us, perhaps slightly lighter in the Midlands area. And then a quick look at the sat pick shows that this is the stubborn little bit of cloud here that's just been drifting past us and beginning to break up. This clearer air, I think we're beginning to see, and we'll probably see a little bit more of by about 12:30, 1 o'clock. And hopefully by the time we launch, we'll be into that air mass there. It's filling nicely with cumulus, looking at some webcams. I just stuck the rainfall radar up there just to show you that it's this trailing bit of horridness that's gone through Sussex at the moment. And any showers out to the west, we were concerned a few hours ago there might be a sort of shower line out here. They're all drying out, so you know it's going in the right direction. Temperature wise, you're looking at 22, maybe 23 today. BBC were suggesting around Basingstoke area 22 for the day, and that encompasses most of the task area. Dew points been fairly high this morning when the front went through, dropping down to, I'm going for about 9s. Any less, if they were down at 6 and 7s, then I think it would be blue in most places. I don't think that's going to be the case today. And then plugging them into the soundings, we look like by 1 o'clock around here, it's slowly creeping up, 1 to 2 o'clock, it creeping up with 20 degrees, probably around about 3,000 feet. Certainly by the time you launch, it should be a little bit more than that. And then as you play it in the afternoon here, getting a little bit higher, probably 4,000 feet around here by late afternoon. Quickly put up the sounding Larkhill. That was a waste of time this morning because that sat right under that front. But we're going to make a decision because we'll see the midday Larkhill fairly shortly. We can get us a good idea of what's actually going to happen in the next couple of hours. Looking at the ascents further north, it did look better in the sort of Bicester Buckingham area, up to about 4.5. Top Meteor's going with a similar sort of thing in terms of thermal heights by sort of 2-3 o'clock, round here getting up to about 4,000 feet, and further north 4.5, maybe a little bit higher. And their model has changed slightly, certainly in terms of cloud amounts. Their 4 o'clock run was suggesting it was going to be blue round here and blue all the way up to Oxford, no cumulus really until you got towards the Cotswold edge, but that seems to have moved further east now. So by sort of 1-2 o'clock, certainly in the task area, expecting cumulus all around the Oxfordshire area, and I suspect east of there as well. Looking at this, it does show air punching in both here and on Skysight, coming in across the Bristol Channel and down towards the Pewsey Vale. That might be, that's one of the reasons why we decided not to task too far in that direction. Skysight, again showing similar sort of picture, height of thermals, 1,400 meters by 2 o'clock in the area around here, 1,500 meters further north, and then play that on a few hours till sort of 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 1,600 meters, so 4,500 feet. So fingers crossed, a fairly reasonable day with scattered Q, not too blue in places, and pretty good. I think until I would have thought 5:30, 6 o'clock easily. So a reasonable length window, considering we're having to start fairly late. The predicted distance for both Skysight and Top Meteo, similar sort of thing. Obviously better out to the further to the west, but we weren't so sure about being able to get you round there in a fresh westerly, and also any wave influence and influence from the Severn Estuary air. But it should be good for a couple of 100k in here quite easily. Our tasks, I think, will be based on when we think this is going to start to improve locally, and hopefully get you away when we can after the Royal Flight airspace, or not Royal Flight, the RAT airspace. Okay, that's me. Good day, folks. Stop my share.
Right. Today's tasks. Right. The philosophy is it looks like, regardless of what's happening with the RAT, it's not going to be silver here for quite a long time yet. And looking at the 8/8, how it's waving a bit, it's definitely there's certainly some wave influence, and it looks relatively stable at the moment. We're going to have the option we might have the option to launch at 13:45 local time. That assumes everything happens on time with the red arrows. I'll let Colin brief what's going on with red arrows. But we can definitely launch by 13:55, and on the basis it's going to take about 50 minutes to launch the whole lot. It's usually a bit less actually. It means the 20-meter task will probably have a start line opening about 30 minutes after the first launch, whereas the 80-meter class will probably take about 35 minutes to launch. Then they're 20-minute wait for start line. So hence the 20-meter class on the same task as the 80 meters, because you're starting, have the ability to start half an hour earlier. We're not going to decide on the task until half an hour before you launch, simply so we can give you the most appropriate task for the weather, because right now locally it doesn't look very good. So task sheets all available with Rebel Control, and the 80-meter task A is 301 Candover Church, Welford, Northampton South, Sackville, Abingdon, Popham, Lasham ARP. All finishes today, well, they'll be briefed, are going to be at 500 feet above the airfield for reasons that Colin will tell you in a minute. Task B, Andover Church again, Welford, Northampton South, Winslow, Abingdon, Popham. Task C, Andover Church, Welford, Finmere, Brill, Abingdon, Popham. And D, and this is if we end up falling back to minimums, Candover, Church, Lambourne, Oxford East, Popham, and Lasham ARP. Class A, very slightly less in your task A, actually, not exactly. So it's Edderfield Church, Welford, Northampton South, Sackville, Abingdon, Popham, ARP. B, which will be Edderfield Church, Welford, Northampton South, Winslow, Abingdon, Popham. C, Edderfield Church, Welford, Finmere, Brill, Abingdon Bridge, Popham, Lasham. And D, Edderfield Church, Lambourne, Oxford East, Popham, Lasham. So, as I said earlier, we won't decide until nearer the time. Airspace, over to Colin Bull.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon now. Keeping up the times, am I? Okay, update for today, and we'll keep this as short as possible because I know you all want to get out there and enjoy the sun. The following points relevant. It's version 8 for the airspace file. I make no apologies for this. Airspace is continually changing, and rather than just having to tell you where things are, we've launched this airspace file version 8, and I suspect there'll be another one tomorrow. ODM, let's talk about our near neighbour. Their DZ, which is in your airspace file, is a penalty zone all day, as is the ODM ATZ. They are both penalty zones. Active parachuting sites. Maybe I was right the first time, I'm not sure. Are scored as penalty zones, as we know, and the ones we are specifically notifying as active are Chargrove. We can't get them to admit they're not going to use it, and Weston on the Green, which is very adjacent to your longer tasks. Compton Box is open today. It may well be useful to you. It's open from 1 o'clock local time. You won't be airborne by then. We got it a little bit early in case anything changes, and it's open till 1900 local this evening. A reminder there, please, while you're in it, 129.890. The only instruction you are likely to get is to vacate it, and that's very, very unlikely, but you need to be listening out for that. The other thing we will do, reminding you that the Compton Box altitudes are based on the London QNH, which we will broadcast at half-hour intervals on the 129.890. Don't think there's anything more to say about that. There are your task notes for today. Okay. They're the task notes for today. They reflect pretty well everything we've said. If any of you should be forced to land at Brimpton or Popham Airfield, they do ask, please, if you can roll off the side into the slightly longer grass, I'd appreciate it. If not, immediately after landing, could you drag your glider into the longer grass? And then they will try and get out to help you as soon as possible. Okay, finishing, please call 10K and finish on channel 131.030. Colin will now take over.
Okay, folks. Yeah, you've all noticed finishing height, 500 feet QFE with the same size finishing ring. Thoughts behind this? We know from experience that locally, with this wind direction, we can find it's fairly fresh from the west. And we're conscious that it might get up to 15, 18 knots at some point late in the afternoon. And that's a fairly fresh tailwind to be dealing with a finish. So we're giving you the option of finishing 500 feet and then flying a circuit and landing to the north. So if you are finishing and planning to fly a circuit and land 27, it's circuit to the north, You can either land grass north side, or you can land on the runway and roll long as normal to the end, and then sort yourself out. If you're going to do a straight in from Popham, it's land to the south and well to the south in the sort of second sector here, giving yourself a reasonable margin away from the main runway, and again, land long. Be aware it's quite rough down in this area here. We are going to get that ground leveled over the winter. Once you land long and you're going to tow back, it's either back down the side this way to the parking area down to the south, or to the north along the edge and to wherever you're parking. So reminder, Circus to North land, either north grass or hard runway 27, 09 finishes well to the south on the grass, south of the main runway. I think that covers it. Nothing much else. Club operations still active on the north side. Once we start to get finishers, we know what's going on, then we'll probably be suspending most of it. North side grass, we'd ideally like you not to sort of clog it up too much, certainly not in the area where we're operating the launch point from. We'd ideally like you to park on the south side of the airfield. Scoring, submit your trace within an hour of landing. And questions, folks?
Nothing on the chat.
Nothing on the chat function. We'll leave it open for another 5 minutes. And then we'll close down. And have we still got earliest first launch?
First launch won't be before 1345, but there is potential for it to be at 1345. The vague plan is when the LOs land, we're hoping the airspace will get released earlier, and hence we have potential to maybe launch a few minutes earlier, which a lot depends on actually whether it's going to be soarable. At the moment, it doesn't actually look very soarable.
You can see the edge of the cloud.
Yeah. So at the moment, it's looking like this 1355 business. It isn't actually going to be that big of a hold up, to be honest.
Nothing on the queue, no. Nothing on the chat.
Okay, we've heard nothing on the chat, no questions and so on. So lock this down now. Thank you. I'll see you on the grid later.